Hey guys, I'm Kristina and I'm an alcoholic. Okay. So my sobriety date is February the 11th, 2011. I have a sponsor. She has a sponsor. I have a home group. My home group is Primary Purpose in Aberdeen. We meet on Saturday nights, speaker meeting. Excuse me. Thank you. Help me out. I'm a little nervous. Can you believe it? I really need to keep it sober at my home group. Okay? It's sober. Oh my God. What did I say? Oh, awesome. Yeah, I am out there, ladies and gentlemen. That's all right.
Sorry.
I'll keep coming back. Anyway. So yeah, I do have a home group, and it's in Aberdeen. It's on Wilder, okay? How's that? I appreciate you asking me to speak tonight. I guess I'll start from the beginning. I came from a great family. My parents, my family was colorful. My dad was Italian. My mom was Ukrainian. We were very loud. Colorful, and they did different things. I kind of grew up at a bar. So my dad had a bar when I was little. I remember crawling up to the bar stools, and eating the cherries and all the good stuff at, bar food. It was awesome. I grew up with alcohol at the table, and I never really thought I was an alcoholic. My parents gave me everything. And really, what happened, I think, I had a major change. High school, my senior year in high school, a drunk driver hit me. And I was in a really, really bad accident. And he was killed, and my girlfriend and I had some really bad injuries. And it took a long time to recover. I had a scholarship to a good college for track and field and softball. So my legs were crushed. Took me a while to recover. So much for that. And, when this accident happened, my family, my mom was always domineering. So once I came out of the hospital, and I'm in a hospital bed at the house, my mother decides to wean me off of pain pills. And I can remember, vividly, the pain that I was in. And vividly, I could remember, being scared of things outside. A car would backfire, I would scream. The dog would bark, I would scream. So my dad, being the good guy that he always was, he'd be like bringing me his Canadian Club. Here, take this. I found these. Mom hid them. So yeah, she hid my medicine, and my dad would have to find it. And so I partied before that, but it was just growing up partying. It wasn't a big thing, I thought. Well, apparently it was, because here I am. As I went on and on, I never really thought alcohol was my problem. I always used to think that I had a problem with drugs. But, lo and behold, it either started or ended with a drink for me. So I really found my home here in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, and for that I'm truly grateful. I've made some wonderful friends here. Growing up, I really, in sports, I had women friends and things like that. But as I got older, I didn't have women friends because, you were after what I wanted. And, I went through a colorful period of my life, which, was not great, but that was my life. I ended up, wanting to hang out with this really, really rich man who could afford me about everything that I wanted. And that didn't get me anywhere, except sicker and sicker. And then what happened is I met who was my husband-to-be at the time. And I thought, oh my God, here's the answer. It's a man. Okay, yeah. So, he's the great white hope because, he was Southern. He, had a uniform on. He came from a good family. This is going to be okay. I can get away from my shady past and all the things that I did. And so I met him, and we were living in Delaware at the time. And what happened was his brother died suddenly, and we had to move here to North Carolina, where he's from and where his mother was still living in a town called Knoxville. So you bring, a 20-something-year-old woman who's bright lights in big city to Knoxville, North Carolina. I was devastated, okay? Everybody knew who I was, and I knew no one. I would ride down the road, and from being up north, we drove fast. There was one stoplight in this town. Everybody knew my car. And it was just, and what did I do? I tried to find a job. I couldn't find a job. So I sat in the condo by the pool, drinking my vodka and smoking my stuff. So as life started to go on, I get a job. Things are getting better. Out of my boohoo, pitiful me, I've moved to North Carolina. And I start to meet people. And of course, I'm always gravitated to the sickest ones, the sickest ones. So right away, I find all the things that I like. It doesn't take me long. And, I have a life, and I had a pretty good life, but I always would be to excess. It was always success. It was never moderation for me. I was just, do it. We're going to do it really well. And I was blessed with, my husband. We had 2 beautiful children. And we moved here to Moore County, I don't know, in the 90s, I guess. So once we had children, what happened was my husband and I weren't able to party together anymore. So we started not drinking together. And that was, kind of hard. We had kids. He could go out, and then he'd stay home. I'd watch the kids. And, we ran a business together, and that did not work out well because we're both, stubborn people. And, what happens is we butt heads all the time. And the drinking for both of us really kind of got worse. And all the other things for me got worse. And it just got worse. And it just got worse. I was the type of woman who would go out for a pack of cigarettes and be gone for 3 days. We tried to keep it together. We tried to do marriage counseling, all that fun stuff. And it's funny because when we came to marriage counseling, someone recommended that I go see this lady. And I started talking to this lady. And she's, listening to me, and she goes, do you think you're an alcoholic? I'm like, no, I really don't. And she's like, okay. And she recommends me, well, why don't you go see this doctor? And I start seeing a doctor, okay? So he's prescribing me medication because I'm depressed. I'm depressed. I'm a drunken sot, and I do dope. Yeah, I'm depressed. So, he's giving me the happy pills, which, I call just Band-Aids. They were just Band-Aids to help cover it, because I wouldn't deal with anything. I never dealt with anything. I drank the pain away. The emotional pain, the physical pain. I learned that from an early age. So as we, went through that little journey, of course I have this great psychiatrist. And I asked him, doctor, do you think I'm an alcoholic? And he goes, no. I'm like, all right, here we go. So there's the part of my story again. So my husband and I get divorced. And so my story really begins. Because while we were going through that, I met this wonderful woman who recommended, well, maybe you should go to the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I'm like, okay. So I went in and, I did all the steps that weren't on the wall. And, that didn't work real well. So I went in, I went out. I went in, I went out. I don't know how many times, I don't know how many chips. I know I was I was graced with a lot of good women in my life, and I didn't really appreciate them at the time. And it wasn't until that time of when I admitted complete surrender. I forgot to bring my book because coming in and out of the rooms, you guys taught me how to journal. And when I look back at my journal, I was living at this point in time, so this would have been 2.5, 3 years ago, in Greensboro, outside of Greensboro, with a man, of course. And I'm back up to the same things. And of course, I meet this man, and he tells me that he graduated from the Duke program. So I met him when I was a year sober for the first time. And I was like, oh, cool. And then, finally I realized graduated. Damn, nobody graduates from this program. And his isms start coming out, and his isms and my isms meet, and it's just a recipe for disaster. We, were, at this point in time, anything that I had was gone. It was just, I'm living with him. I'm there for basically support at this point in time in my life. I'm doing what I did best to make money quick, and that's bartending. Of course, I'm an excellent bartender. Imagine that. So, we lived that life for at least a year and a half, and it just got gradually worse and worse and worse until it came down to the point of where I was staring at a shotgun and a bottle of morphine. And of course, I'm going to get high and he's going to die. Because, I really do like myself. Because I am selfish and self-centered. But, it was just horrible. I was so miserable. I'm journaling, my dear God thing. Dear God, I don't know how I got here, why I got here. I know that, you were always there for me. But I really need some help. That's basically what my journal said. And that was in January. So this finally happened in February. Oh yeah, by the way, the police came to get him. For some, it was constantly, every time I turned around, my alcohol buddy was getting into some kind of major trouble. And I'm his partner in damn crime and don't even know it. As I'm pumping gas and all of a sudden he steals a car. I'm like, awesome. This is awesome. All right, this is just awesome. So, the police come looking for me. What do? I sing like a bird. It wasn't me. I didn't do this. I didn't do this at all. It was him. You see the video. I'm innocent. Because, honestly, I had no idea when I pulled up into the gas station that he had this motive of stealing a car. I'm thinking he's inside stealing beer because that's his MO. Okay? So when I'm sitting there and all of a sudden I see him in this Toyota truck, I am like, oh my God. So, there's the picture of unmanageability, okay? That was me. And to finally, enough was enough, and I picked up the telephone. And when I picked up the telephone, I called the woman that was my sponsor, I don't know, about the third time, my third run into it. And I couldn't get a hold of her. I called another woman. Anyway, this woman calls me back. I'll be there. I'm coming to get you. I'm like, oh, thank God. Thank God, because I just couldn't live like that anymore. I just couldn't live like that. It was just one catastrophic thing. It wasn't small stuff. It was all big stuff. And it was complete unmanageability. So really that was the day that I flew the flag of surrender. And I come to here in Moore County, and I get into a treatment program. I get into Butner. And my girlfriend's husband drives me to Butner. We're driving by the airport, and I'm like, oh my God, if I had money, I'd be on a plane. If I had money, I'd be on a plane. We get to Butner. It's like, oh, word. Look at this place. Okay? It wasn't a very pleasant experience at all. But I had to do what I had to do because I had nothing left. I had nothing left. When I get there, I was cool and composed as I'm watching everybody come in and out. And he's freaking out. My girlfriend's husband, he's like, you sure you want to stay here? You sure you want to stay here? I'm like, I got it. I got nothing else to do. So when I finally get in and they do that interview, they go, well, why are you here? And it just came out like this. Well, I was like, I have a problem with alcohol, cocaine, and men. I'm like, oh my God. That came out of my mouth for the first time ever. Okay, so I admitted something to myself, that I have a problem. So I go through that program, and my sponsor at the time worked at our wonderful halfway house, the Bethany House. And I knew that I wasn't ready to go back out into the real world because my coping mechanisms are always the same thing. I had to change. And the only way that I was going to change was to do something totally different. Step out of the box. So that I did. And I end up at the Bethany House, and, I have nothing left. I left everything in Greensboro, and, it's just stuff. No car, no money, no nothing. I blew up all my bridges to whatever family I had left. I get to the Bethany House, and you need $300 to get in. I'm going through my mail that my ex-fiance brings me at the rehab center. And I'm going through the mail at the Bethany House, sitting on the porch, and there is a check for like $230. And that was just about enough to pay to get into the Bethany House. And I'm talking, and they're like, "We'll make calls. You can wait out here. We'll leave the door open. You go inside and make calls. You'll be able to get it. It'll be all right. It'll be all right." And I'm sitting there smoking the last pack of cigarettes that I have. I probably had about $20 in my pocket and this check. And so I start making telephone calls. So the nephews don't answer. My two brothers. My parents are already dead. My one brother passed away. My other brother, I didn't call him. I called my nephews because I sort of grew up with them. And they didn't give me any money. And I finally called my ex-husband. And my ex-husband was gracious enough to bring the balance to the Bethany House. And that's when I began this journey. And it's a wonderful journey because today I've learned a lot of things. I've learned how to open up to another woman. And that is just huge for this alcoholic. Because today I can be crazy in the head and still know that it's okay. Instead of running to my old vices, I could pick up the phone and go, "Can you believe this? And they just laugh, They just laugh. They're like, "It's all right. It's okay. You're doing the right thing." And I'm like, so, so many things happened while I was at the Bethany House. I met another good sponsor, and I started working the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous as they're written. And that's when things just started to change. They got a little easier, a little easier and a little easier. And, I get a job, and I start catching up, pay the rent, life's good, it's all right, I could do this. And then, boom, the police come looking for me. I get a job at Hallmark, by the way. And the police show up at Hallmark, and it was on my day off. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. So I get into work the next day, and they're like, "The police were here looking for you." So, when you finally slow down, all your stuff catches up with you that you've done, and you put off, and you're like, oh. So, I always had a panache for speeding. I had a lot of speeding tickets, like one really big one. And I didn't, obviously I was in treatment for the last court date. So, I had to deal with all of that and this and, for money and all that. And, it's just by a miracle that, I could pay this stuff. I paid it. I didn't get any help. I paid it. And I'm kind of proud of that. I was like, I don't have a sugar daddy, I don't have a family, I don't have anything. I paid for it today. And that's pretty damn big in this world for me. So, I get through that stuff and I start doing the deal. And doing what I'm supposed to do. Cleaning up the kitchen, talking to other women in the program. And anytime I talk to a guy in the program, it would be like, because, Paige or Cynthia would be on me like white on rice. Because they know my MO, It's so, like, okay, doing the deal. So, after 6 months, there came a point in time where I was unable to stay at the Bethany house because I needed to get to work, and they would no longer bring me to work early in the morning because at the time I was working as a companion at St. Joseph's of the Pines, so I couldn't do that anymore. So I had to leave, and out of the graciousness of my girlfriend's heart, she lets me stay with her. And let me tell you what, between her, between you people in these rooms, I got to work. Sometimes I had to walk, big deal. I was in really good shape when I stayed at the Bethany house because my butt walked, let me just tell you. I walked and walked. I walked for peace of mind, I walked for sanity, and I walked for a purpose to get what I needed, which this time is, whether that be to work or whether that be some serenity over at the Weymouth Woods, because that was a place that I valued, my first 6 months of recovering. So I get out, and, each day seems to get a little better and better. And it's not like things are just hunky-dory, because they're not. Life goes on. All of a sudden, through these rooms, a car comes to me. A car. I mean, I didn't have, excuse my French, but a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. Now I have a car. I helped get me, but I finally get out from my girlfriend and her mom, by the way. She was living with her mom. So we got 3 Italian women in one house. That was really loud. So, oh Lord, that was funny. So anyway, I get a car. I get a place to live. That's the next step. And that's pretty cool, because I get a place to live by myself. And, and the whole time I'm at the Bethany house, my children came to see me. And that's a beautiful thing, because without my children, life would stink. It would truly stink. So my kids would visit me at the Bethany, and then now my children are in my life. I have them a lot during the summertime. My ex is kind of like, well, I'm not quite sure, about during the school time. And, I can understand. I mean, I'm still early in recovery. And things will happen on God's time, not my time. That's what you guys keep telling me. And another thing is, this will thing, because, the first 3 steps, I have to turn over my will all the time. I mean, many times throughout the day, because I am just full of it sometimes, and I want to do it my way, and this is the way it should be done. It's like, take a breath, say the prayer, the prayer that you guys taught me, the serenity prayer. It's that simple. It's that simple for me to keep my mouth shut today, because that's real important. Sometimes I grew up, and when I was growing up, I was I was crazy in the head growing up, because I was always, with the boys, hanging out. I was a jock. My uncles were boxers. I mean, and I just had a lot of angst. I mean, I was just, and I got into fights all the time. And, you know, today it's just really cool that I could shut up. And I'm grateful for that because, you know, I'm getting a little older. And the behavior that was in my past was just ridiculous. And when I slow down to think about all the things that I did and, you know, the life that I had, my parents did the best that they did, that they could, you know. My parents were very colorful. You know, and I don't need to tell you what colorful means, but they were very colorful. So, you know, I grew up thinking that a lot of wrong things were right, you know. And today I know, you know, it wasn't the best upbringing for a young child, but, you know, they did what they could, and they tried to provide me with the best opportunity possible. Well, now, with them both being passed away, I hope they can look down and see that I, you know, am finally on the right path. And it isn't not anything that I did, you know. It's what you guys have done for me. You've shown me a new way of life. You've shown me that I can get crazy in the head and still stay sober. You could show me that life goes on, and you could say I'm just growing, and those are growing pains. I'm like, oh, okay. And, you know, sometimes I cry a lot now, you know, because I actually have feelings. You know, I didn't cry that much before, but now I can cry because I can just cry, and it's good, you know, and it's okay to cry. Just growing up, it's like, oh, you can't cry. Well, you know what, I can cry, and it feels good to cry, and I can cry when I'm sad, and I can cry when I'm happy, and I can cry when I'm grateful. Yes, today I was talking to my ex-husband, and one of my daughter's friends was paying for her to take dance classes. And I'm like, oh my God. I was talking to one of my friends, I was like, oh my God, I feel so bad because I can't afford it. And she's like, oh my God, shut up, be grateful. Okay, you're right. She's, you know, she's like, you know, it's God looking down on you. So I've had so many God winks, you know, that money thing. You know, having that check, a car provided for me, a house. I've been in the same place. Today I don't suffer from addiction and eviction, because I did that for 6 years, you know, and it really stunk because I couldn't stay in the same place because I had to leave. So I couldn't pay the rent because I smoked up the rent check, you know. And today I have the same landlord. It's just... you know, it's just a beautiful thing. And I always, you know, I've spoken a couple times, and I always look down on my watch, and I'm like, oh my God, you know, I can't make it an hour. There is no way on God's green earth, because, you know, I don't want to start telling you, you know, fifth step stuff, you know. But, you know, the basic gist for this alcoholic is I just keep trying to do the next right thing. I try to work with other women. I try to attend meetings. I try to call a lot of women when I have stuff on my mind, because as alcoholics, you know, we always have stuff on our mind. You know, we just blow stuff out of proportion so easily, even in sobriety. You know, I heard people say it takes you a long time to get your marbles back, and then you have to learn how to play with them. Let me tell you, I don't even know if I have my marbles back yet, but it's getting better. You know, it's just truly getting better. So, let's see, I think I've pretty much said, I'm quick and concise when it comes to this kind of stuff. I don't draw it out too much. Yeah, half hour, that's good for me. I appreciate very much the opportunity to speak this evening. It really means a lot. Thank you.